We're live. Episode 10, NC Squared Conspiracy Podcast. My name is Simon.
I'm Chance.
And we have a guest today. Tim is here with us.
Hello, it's me, Tim.
We did the... Did you guys listen to the applause last time? It was good. We'll do it again.
All right.
Applause every time.
We have like one less person.
And then we'll say, when I say episode 10, we'll do more applause. The same applause track.
Just continues.
Like doubled over itself.
It's now officially become
Even
part
bigger.
of our podcast.
I can do some hoots and hollers into the mic, and then we can like edit that in later.
A little bit of yipping.
I like it.
I like that. Anyhow.
But now you have to edit this out.
No, I'm going to keep it in there.
I love it.
We're stretching this one.
All right. A little bit.
Anyhow, episode 10, big deal. Big conspiracy.
Yeah, you know.
Bigfoot is the topic of the day.
I see where you're going with this.
Episode 10, big deal, Bigfoot, 10 toes. Episode 10.
Wait, 10?
Yeah. Bigfoot has 10 toes.
I think he had more.
He's humanoid, so we're going to assume that he has 10 toes.
I had thought less, actually.
Did you?
Yeah,
Like cartoon, like
four.
Four on each foot?
Yeah.
he's got 8 toes.
Well, now
And then he's got the like thumb thing that cats have on like the back of their leg.
Definitely.
What is that called? Chloe knows. You don't. Nope, she doesn't know. She doesn't know.
She doesn't know. Oh, you're right. He's Bigfoot with the big toe and the 4 little toes. And...
Oh.
Well, because he's humanoid, is what people think.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, we need to say thank you to all of our patrons who have supported us this far. We have 2 of them in the room with us today. Chloe, top tier patron. She's there. More applause.
More applause.
And a laugh track. We should do a laugh track.
All right.
And you're married to her, so you're kind of a patron.
Yeah.
He's a top tier patron-in-law.
Oh, okay. So he hasn't actually donated anything, but
He's donating his
married to
time and
a
his
donor.
energy currently. Even people who are just related to patrons get benefits,
that's
such
true.
as being on the show, short notice,
Yeah.
which is important.
Short notice.
Someone get us back on track here. Let's start off. What do you think about Bigfoot?
My personal opinion on it, it's tough to say. I have to say that we haven't explored every tiny nook and cranny in the world.
Sure.
And we're still coming across stuff that surprises us every day.
Getting drunk over there?
Oh, yeah. By the way, we were having Little Caesars pizza and some...
That's right. We're still on the Little C's. I'm having some Angry Orchard. Tim is having some Angry Orchard from our new frosted mugs.
I'm having a good old Jack Daniels with some Pepsi.
Jack and Pepsi.
Jack and Pepsi.
As they say.
That's not what they say.
I don't think I've ever heard someone say that.
Besides that, your opinion on Bigfoot.
So, my opinion is that if we somehow came across the Bigfoot, like, captured, zoo, remains, whatever it may be, I think I'd be surprised, but not nearly as surprised as someone who just straight up doesn't believe in them, I guess is what I'm saying.
That makes sense. It would be surprising to see, but it wouldn't be surprising that it's out there.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I was going.
I've had my own personal Bigfoot encounter.
Oh.
It was minor, living up north here in Washington.
Oh, we must talk about that.
Chloe, I thought you had too. Multiple people had in Laurier, but there was multiple. You once said that you felt something following you home and you saw something in the bushes once. We're going to call that Bigfoot. I had a similar experience and I saw something running away into the woods and by gosh, it was probably Bigfoot.
Yeah?
It probably
Did you get
was.
a good look at it?
No, I didn't.
Naturally.
But nobody ever does.
No.
Even if I would have, my vision would have been blurred or something because
the rules.
you can't get a clear image of Bigfoot.
Well, they have cloaking technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're far more advanced than you would think.
That's how they've survived so long.
Apparently. Tim, what's your opinion on Bigfoot?
Well, the cloaking technology is actually one of the big things that I found out about with it, is that one of the common thoughts with it is that Bigfoot has a natural camouflage, and that's why it's so hard to find.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
like,
sense.
It's kind of like a mammal chameleon.
So kind of like changes pigment like an octopus.
Mammal chameleon.
Okay.
Yeah, a big furry chameleon.
Big furry mammal
I
chameleon.
don't know. We don't know what its fur
Yeah.
is. It could very well change pigment.
Well, I mean, you could say to an extent that all animals have a natural cloaking ability with their cloak of fur. It is designed for that purpose.
I think.
Are you
weather-
saying it goes beyond that?
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. That's what people
That's what
say.
people believe?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not going to shoot that down because
I'm not.
chameleons do that. So that means it's possible.
Well-
Chameleons do that.
Well, they
You
do
can't
it-
argue that.
No, they do that.
Okay.
I won't
Octopuses
argue
do
it.
that too.
Octopus, yeah. There's,
Octopi.
Now, see,
there's some shrimp
octopi.
that do
Yeah.
that. I know there's some shrimp. Cuttlefish do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, you're right.
There's some
because they're on the
jellyfish
bottom.
that can change colors.
All right, fair
That
enough.
seems legit.
It's not impossible for something to be able to change its pigment on a manual level, kind of like being able
On
to
a
control.
manual level.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the word, so
That's fair. I would believe that there is a Bigfoot in existence, and I have watched every episode of In Search of Sasquatch numerous times. So you could call me a believer, but I don't have any solid proof that Bigfoot is out there. But if we
Nobody
did
does.
find Bigfoot, my money would be on it's just a big monkey out there.
See, I'm not going with the monkey. I think it would be a kind of a offshoot of like the Homo sapien.
Okay.
So like it would be a predecessor to the Homo sapien that's actually been able to survive in its own
Like some
enclosed community.
like an
Right.
offshoot Neanderthal kind of thing.
Yeah, basically like
Like prehistoric human made it this far.
why couldn't they?
I'm not saying it couldn't. I'm not agreeing with you,
Yeah,
but I'm not
that
saying
look
it
over
couldn't.
there.
I just
Okay,
go ahead.
think about it though. Like
I'm thinking about
think
it.
about how many prehistoric stuff that we still run across that like in the ocean alone. Like, and the ocean is hugely like 99% unexplored, but think about that. I mean, we still run across stuff land-based that we're confused by. Like,
That's fair.
so.
That's
What is
fair.
the word for those?
I mean,
Those-
random islands will come across. Like, it was only a couple hundred years ago we ran across an iguana that could swim.
Right, right.
So, and nobody ever would have assumed that an iguana could ever swim
It
in
wasn't
existence.
too
so.
terribly long ago that we flew an airplane over an undiscovered islands, and the Aboriginals shot arrows and threw
Yeah,
spears at the
exactly.
That's
airplane.
right. Yeah, that
So-
was just like 2 years ago.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like too far fetched. Well, there's definitely areas we haven't explored, so there could be a big monkey man out there
Yeah.
just waiting.
And see, everyone assumes it's just one.
It would have to be multiple with the number of sightings we
to
have,
continue.
assuming that any portion of those sightings are legit, because there's been hundreds, thousands of reported sightings.
but at the same
throughout
time, we
years.
don't know what its lifeline would be, like, or its lifetime rather.
For something to get that large, though, any large mammal, assuming it's a mammal and not a chameleon reptile, they age, they get old.
That's a good
Whales, they grow old,
point. Yeah.
they're large.
Elephants.
And if they were young and that big, that would mean that whatever birthed them would have to be significantly larger.
True. Wow.
True.
So saying that they're 7 feet tall, that assumes that like they must grow old to reach that height. Right. Because whatever birthed them wasn't any taller than that, I'm assuming.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not. There was some episodes of In Search of Sasquatch where they talked to people that mentioned like 14-foot tall Sasquatchian beings.
So they're just going with a predator route.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep getting
Like,
bigger.
we're
With
just going
the
to keep making
cloaking,
them bigger.
With the cloaking and
yeah.
being 14 foot
Yeah.
tall.
Wow.
Wow. We've seen that before. We all know how that ends.
Well, have you
Arnold
seen the most
Schwarzenegger.
recent Predator movie? Not to get off topic, but like,
No.
they introduced a new Predator that
Yeah.
was like 20 feet tall.
of course.
It was like, oh
They're
my
like, we're running out of ideas. Make it bigger.
And it had the backwards legs, you know, the ones where the knees don't bend forward, they bend backwards. It was really weird.
They do that with like all movies of the sort. We had King Kong, in which he was a massive monkey,
Yeah.
gorilla. And then Skull Island came, in which he was an even more so massive monkey.
Yep.
And it was like the first one wasn't enough with him like crawling on the Empire State Building and taking down airplanes with a swing of his monkey fist.
Yeah.
And like carrying the lady around the city. They had to make him like Godzilla height.
Well, he's supposed to tie into the Godzilla franchise.
That's true.
Okay,
But
yeah.
we are getting off a little track here, I guess.
We're talking about big monkeys.
Yeah, that's true. It's right along the lines
We're
of
pretty
Bigfoot.
dang close.
Big mammals, you give King Kong cloaking technology and we're there.
So you were
Touche.
talking about probably humanoid of some sort.
Humanoid, I'm not going to pretend like I know, but I would assume if its existence is true, that it would be a humanoid with the ability to, forage for itself, fend for
Sure.
itself, but also stay very, what's the word I'm looking for? Isolated.
Yeah.
So it knows how to stay away from people's natural travel path.
Okay. With that on topic, I have a unsourced, non-credible
Oh, yeah.
fact.
Those are the best. Those are the
For
best
you.
ones.
2012 is the year. Texas veterinarian Melba S. Ketchum claimed to have proved via a Sasquatch DNA sample that they are partially human, which means to her that they need to immediately recognize them as indigenous people and protect their human rights and constitutional rights.
Wow.
2012,
2012.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, that goes along with like old records of Sasquatch from indigenous people. They talked about them like they were another tribe.
Like they came about and they like traded and stuff even. So
Yeah.
I could see that. I
Yeah.
could see where that comes into play. But again, I don't really back the humanoid thing. I back the big monkey idea.
All right. That's fair. I mean,
Personal opinion.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just think they would have to have a reasonable amount of intelligence to stay hidden.
Right. And I told you that where we used to live, up near the Orient area, there were people that referred to the Sasquatch beings, Bigfoot, whatever, as stick people.
Yeah.
And they actually claimed that they would leave meats and other things on their porch for these stick people or Sasquatch. And they would come and take the meats and leave them woven baskets filled with like berries and fruits locally gathered.
See, and when you have that many people who things like that just don't start where an entire community like just goes, oh yeah, this happens. Like that means it actually happened, whether it was Bigfoot or someone in the village or town that did it.
Sure.
Like there was a cause and effect. They left meat.
Something had
and
to
then they
cause
get-
them to believe that.
Yeah, exactly. So
Even if it
somebody
wasn't-
somewhere started
Yeah.
this, saying, "Hey, I'm going to leave some meat on the porch," and then they were given a gift, and then the word spread, and other people did it to see, just because they're like, "Oh, you're crazy," and then they did it, and then
So are you saying it seems far-fetched that someone could make up something like that?
it's not that it's far fetched. It's unlikely. I know that there's theories out there about like mass hysteria and mass delusions of things like that, to where like UFOs, people claim that people will cite UFOs to gain popularity or attention based on other people, and it's just a giant vicious cycle. But I don't think a community would do something like that,
Well,
like in a small community like that.
there are examples, though, of mass hysteria hitting large communities in that kind of way. I don't remember the year exactly, but the dancing plague in France in the 1500s, where one person just walked outside into the street and started dancing and didn't stop for multiple days. And while this one person did it, other people started dancing as well, and no one gave a reason why. No one was explaining anything, but you had this entire village in France start dancing, and people died of exhaustion from nonstop
So
dancing.
it's the herd mentality. It's kind of like
Possibly.
standing in line. Where if you start a line, people don't know what the line is, but they'll get behind you and stand in line, expecting something to happen, something to be explained.
Cut in front of you if you're here in the Pacific
yeah.
Northwest.
Yeah. We'll talk
I'm
about that
assuming
later.
anywhere, but it gets to me.
But my original opinion on the subject on that is that it'd be difficult for that to kind of spread amongst the community, I think, without a source and a cause. So that's just kind of like where I'm going with it, is that all these sightings and stuff can be attributed to the fact that people want to believe, or like the UFO things, it's a vicious cycle of people trying to attain attention. But at some point, I would love to at least think that a human person would be like, well, is that the attention I kind of want? No, but I still see what I see and I think what I think.
Yeah, there had to be a seed of reason before it all started.
Exactly. Just like while we were talking about the first actual like kind of recorded version of the Bigfoot, which was well, you guys talk real quick. I'll grab her name in a second.
You mentioned it briefly, and it reminded me. I stumbled across a couple articles. There are people who believe Sasquatch is an alien.
Oh.
Many people believe Sasquatch is an alien. A Wookiee sort of thing, I suppose.
I think
Yeah.
that's probably more today's pop culture.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. I mean, they don't think he's a Wookiee. Well, maybe they do. I don't know.
they do.
But there's many people that claim that they have seen Sasquatch board spaceships, UFOs, this sort of thing. They have seen rituals take place between aliens and Sasquatch. I don't have any sources for this, but Google it and you will find out that I'm not lying. They might be lying, but I'm not lying.
Oh,
Okay.
You're just talking about the fact that people say it.
Yeah, people do say it, and that's
I mean, that's the conspiracy, though.
that is the conspiracy. Some
Yeah.
people believe that they're aliens. Some people believe that they work with the government. Some people believe that the government are trying to hide them from the populace.
See, I don't believe any of that.
You don't believe the government's trying to hide
Why
them?
would they? I mean, okay, if you could give me a reasonable reason.
All right.
I don't.
Okay.
If
Challenge
you have a
accepted,
reason,
apparently.
bring it up. I have a story. Let's hear your reason.
Okay, so this is the reason I found for why the government is hiding Bigfoot from us.
I'm ready.
Bigfoot is actually one of, like, in ancient Bible times when they recorded people living 900 plus years, Bigfoot is one of those people, and if they let the secret of Bigfoot get out, people would then know how to live that long, and there would be no form of population control.
You mean they would learn to live that long based on studying Bigfoot?
Based on studying Bigfoot, based on experiencing Bigfoot, they didn't specify how they were going to get that power from
that's
Bigfoot.
the idea.
That's the idea, though, was that
Okay.
people will be able to live exponentially longer because of Bigfoot.
Okay, so that
All
would
right.
that would explain why it's a small community of Bigfoot. Is because they don't need to procreate as much.
Yeah, they're living
Because they live
Or
900 years.
Or they don't because they're sane, so they don't just reproduce like mad.
Yeah, I mean, everybody says reproduce like rabbits, but it really should be people.
That's true. You don't see rabbits running the world. It's people.
To be fair, that
Was
would be
that
kind
how
of
we got here?
Yeah, we all came from rabbits,
Oh.
Bigfoot included. Now that you've told me that, this is kind of off track, but there is an incident. Mount St. Helens.
Yes.
We all know.
Yeah, my parents lived through it.
After Mount St. Helens, there are numerous reports claiming that they saw government agents loading charred bodies of Sasquatch beings onto helicopters that were then hauled away to a military base somewhere for further studies. Due to these stories, there was actually a place, a gully there that they named Ape Canyon because of this incident. It's true. It's true that people say that.
Okay, so now me, for any conspiracy in the world, I like to think of, the reason. I mean, that's the biggest thing in the world. I think you can justify anything if you can make it.
Sure. Well, he
sound
gave us
reasonable.
the reason.
900 years.
It's actually, since the 20s, Mount St. Helens has been known as like a Sasquatch hotspot.
Oh, okay.
It still is. And so the idea is that it erupted. People were like going up there concerned for the Sasquatch beings.
Oh.
And they saw these government agents taking them away because they were like, people can't find these charred Sasquatch bodies.
All right, so one of the conspiracies is government's suppressing it
Yes,
due to longevity of the Sasquatch.
obviously.
Of course.
I'm ready to back that 100%.
All right, I like it. I like it. So we got 2 believers now.
I'm sold. I'm there.
Apparently.
All right, I'm fine with that.
I like that one. That
No,
makes,
I mean,
that's
like-
good to me.
Like I said, I like to keep an open mind. I'm not actually earlier I stated that maybe that's why they're good at being so reclusive is because they live a long time and they're capable of understanding their environment enough to where they stay away from people, and that's why they'd be a smaller community. Is procreation is not as necessary when you live 900 years.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. But like, okay, so what about the lack of evidence for Bigfoot? If there were as many walking around as we had reports for, why only the occasional footprint that half the time is faked?
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? And no bones ever.
Well, I've never done a lot of hunting in the Northwest, so I don't have any of my own personal experiences.
I haven't either.
So, and even hiking, I don't have any personal experience, but I did have someone in the Army who was a 100% believer. He believed so much in Bigfoot, but he also was the guy who told me ligers didn't exist.
Ligers?
Ligers.
They do, to clarify. I've seen them.
Oh,
I know.
No, I have.
what?
No, I've seen
No,
I've seen a liger too.
We used to have a local liger.
Yeah,
What?
at
At
the-
the cat sanctuary.
cattails.
Cattails.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out to
Cattails. No endorsement.
No endorsement.
Not yet.
Now I'm sad.
But if you guys could provide us with some big mean cats, maybe.
Hey, we'll take pictures.
Guard the
We'll
recording
take some.
studio.
We'll take some cats.
But yeah, I'm with you. I've seen a liger, but he had never seen a liger in person.
Gotta
He's
see it to believe it.
And he had only seen pictures, and he said that they were faked. But he believed in Bigfoot. And I asked him, "Did you ever see him?" He's like, "No." I was like, "Well, what about the people that are out there who like say they see him take grainy photos and like they fake the footprints?" He goes, "For every believer, you have 10 people who are just trying to get rich." And I was like,
That's fair.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
That's 100% fair. He goes, for every person who had an actual encounter, you're going to have 10 to 20 people who are trying to use that information and get rich or attention.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So,
But like, same with UFO sightings and anything, the Loch Ness Monster, that sort of thing. Technology has progressed to where no matter who you are, you have an HD camera in your pocket.
yeah.
And like, the amount of evidence that has surfaced has steadily been on the downfall as we get better technology on hand.
True.
So that seems like that's discouraging for me personally.
Yeah.
Because
personally,
you know,
I only have faith. And that's because
that's true. I have faith.
I have faith. I have faith because 20, 30 years ago, giant squid were thought of as a bull crap kind of thing.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Like it was
yeah.
stories, the Kraken and all that.
Yeah.
They were stories.
Definitely.
There were stories told by sailors. It was a myth and legend. And it was 2004 to 2006 was our first documented live feed of giant squid. These squid reaching prosperous, like, God, I can't say the
Drunk.
word. Yeah, drunk.
You're
apparently.
drunk.
Jack and Pepsi.
But the ridiculous like length and size and stuff.
Taking down ships and
yeah.
that
But
sort of thing.
before that, now 10, 20 years before that, even when they were thought to be myth and legend, people were finding their suction cups on the beaches, and they still were discredited. They were said to be not real or like something else that was explainable, but we couldn't explain it right now kind of thing. Until we actually got live footage of one attacking a camera down in the deep sea ocean, no one really believed in them. Like
Right.
people did, but like it was not the majority of scientists and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And that was only, 12 years ago. 12 years ago was when we found out there was really such thing as giant squid that were myth and legend.
That's fair.
And we had
Totally
physical evidence of them before that.
That's true. And for me, like, that makes more sense when the ocean is involved because so little of the ocean is
Fair.
explored. They say that every single time we do a deep dive mission, like down in the Marianas or something like that,
Yeah.
we find new species every time. So it seems more likely that in the 90% of the ocean we haven't explored, or don't quote that number, whatever number percent of
like
the
99%
whatever percent of the ocean we haven't explored, there could be a giant squid there.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. But on land, like, we as humans have dominated so much of, not all of it, but so much of the land that by now it seems, with how many people are in the United States and how spread out we are, we would have a Bigfoot body.
Now, see, you say that, and I looked it up earlier, and the figures were kind of difficult to find. But I did find that there is actually not a lot of people realize it because the way the lives are now. Like, we're so connected network-wise, internet, and we see pictures, and we have Google Earth, and all these things, like, make us feel like the world's a lot smaller than it is. But there's still, like, the Aborigine tribe that we were talking about on the island that still shoots bows at planes. There's massive amounts of land that are completely unexplored by people. Like, in the northern Siberian tundra, like, less than 1% of that is actually explored by people.
But what about the sightings that are here in the United States?
It's the same thing. Think, like, how much of the Northwest have you explored?
Well, not me personally, no.
Exactly, but I'm saying
But that's what I'm saying is because of the ground coverage we have, there's no way a body wouldn't have turned up by now.
I think so if they live 900 years.
That's fair. If they...
All right. Let me hit you with a theory with this.
I'm ready.
Okay, so you've got these fairly intelligent creatures that clearly don't want to be bothered by people, and we're getting better technology, and we're getting more populous in our area. So I did a road trip one time driving up to Alaska, and one part of this highway, because there's only one actual highway from the last main town of Canada into Alaska, and it's like 300 miles. And you go through woods that
It's just complete backcountry.
I could not fathom the depth of the woods. We were going up a mountain pass at one point, and you could just look out, and it's like looking at the ocean.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so if we are getting more populous down south here in the States, northern Canada still has huge expanses of woods that I definitely think an entire society of pseudo-immortal chameleon mammals could live in.
Chameleon mammals.
Well, even if they were a tribe of, say, 30, 50, 100,
Yeah.
like, that's a
That's
very
fair,
small
but,
amount of...
but I'm talking about right here, right now. Just Washington has so many reported sightings of Sasquatch and like evidence that has been discredited and whatnot. And I know there's areas of Washington, like we drove over to the rainforest, and there was a good like 45 minutes of driving where if you looked to either side, the trees were so dense you couldn't see into them more than a couple of feet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it makes sense that like there's areas we haven't, or at least we're not regularly monitoring.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you looked it up and you checked how many sightings have been in just Washington alone, how have we not come up with a body yet?
Very simple.
There was that dude that said he had one in his freezer.
I know.
It was, and then
It's really simple.
and then they were like, "Can we see it?" And he was like,
we
"Oh."
don't know what Bigfoot really is, right?
He's
So
a
what
monkey
if
man.
What if a decaying body would be confused as something else?
No.
Big person's corpse.
How? A 7-foot tall monkey status man?
Yeah, but they're still finding like entire tribes in South America that have like elongated skulls that are like up to 14 inches long.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll get into that later.
But I'm saying is that
people do think and claim that they have seen Sasquatch burying their dead before.
oh, interesting.
But
Okay.
I think that's a crappy theory to try and disregard the fact that we've never found a body because we find dinosaur bones all the time.
Yeah, but how many people are out there digging in the dirt for Sasquatch bodies?
Well, a lot of times when you find dinosaur bones, you're not looking for it. How have we not
Looking
at
at
least
it your
accidentally
way.
been like, oh, I found a human skeleton. Oh, it's 8 feet tall. How does that not happen? It would have to happen. I believe Sasquatch. I'm a believer. But how has that not happened? I want someone to tell me.
What if they reuse the body?
No.
No. Let's
Like
go
what,
with,
they eat it?
Let's go with the fact that they were
Cannibalism.
sighted in the 1840s with Native Americans who often would bury their bodies, like, but they would also, there were certain tribes that would reuse the entirety of the person's body. bones and stuff would be used into weapons and decorations and things like that. That was an actual thing with Native Americans. What if the Sasquatch do it? What if they reuse the body to promote that long-lived
Like 100%.
Yeah.
But we've never. Are there any sightings of Sasquatch using tools? What would they use the bones and stuff
Most of the time,
for?
I think the sightings are them running away. Like, so.
Picking their teeth, exactly.
Yeah.
From the Sasquatch they just ate. Yeah. Maybe cannibalism.
Yeah, maybe.
And then like bones just get scattered. If it wasn't a full decaying body when you found it, all the bones might not be intact.
See, I
Yeah,
agree with
and
you.
I mean,
I don't believe in the they bury their dead thing.
Yeah.
I don't believe that either. I think that is a poor excuse that people have tried to make up to justify it, because it doesn't matter how deep you bury a body, they show up. It happens.
It's true.
It happens.
I mean,
But-
talk to all those murderers out there that got away with it because they couldn't find a body.
That's true. But then talk to the other ones that got caught because they buried the body.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So we're talking about a small population, though. So what you're
We're
looking
not, though. I feel
Really?
like no, it couldn't
okay.
be a small population with how wide. Because are you talking small population? Like there's a tribe of monkey people?
Monkey people.
I'm just curious. Like when you're saying small population, do you mean like 30 of them living in
50 to 100.
in close proximity to each other? Like
for. I think you
close enough
have
to where they're
multiple
capable
of
of
those small
communicating.
tribes.
I don't know about that, because like how the different areas we've had sightings in, there would have. Are you saying there's a tribe in each of these areas?
Maybe they're just extremely nomadic, that
Did
they
you-
move long distances for resources.
I'ma hit you
on
with a
regular
fact.
basis. Oh, okay.
It's a small
Wait,
one.
is this an unsourced fact again?
I mean, I don't have the source on me, but I read this and I believe it to be true.
Oh, okay.
Sasquatch sightings have been reported in every state other than Hawaii.
Oh.
Yes.
You read that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I saw that one too.
Two people read it. It
We-
must be true.
Must be true, apparently.
I like that.
Okay, so what's Hawaii doing?
Well, there's water. They can't swim.
Not
Who
that
says
far at least,
Sasquatch
I
can't
guess.
swim
With
right now?
that much fur, there's no way.
I mean, think of an otter.
They can't swim that far. That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
But they could migrate through Canada to Alaska
It's funny because
and down to Mexico,
it's-
South America.
Well, it's funny because you speak of that to where Hawaii has no Sasquatch sightings, but other countries like the Himalayas have the Yeti, which is about the
yeah,
same
but
thing.
Hawaii is like isolated.
No, I'm agreeing with you here. Is that
Well, I'm
saying
disagreeing with you.
that? God dang it, I don't understand what's going on. I'm saying that at one point in time, North America and Russia and China were landlocked. You know, with the big
The Bering Land Channel or
Yeah,
whatever
there
it
you
was
go.
called.
Like back
So-
in like Pangea times.
No. This was prior to or at post Pangea. This was an
Yeah,
actual.
it was supposed to be like 10,000 years ago that
Yeah.
in the last ice age there was supposed to be a physical, not bridge like a man-made bridge, but an actual bridge between
Yeah, it was ice
Kamchatka,
and
Russia,
things like
and
that, yeah.
the Alaskan Straits.
Yeah, so that's how they found out that certain cultures had migrated into the United States and North America and stuff was through that
Okay.
channel. So it would make sense that you would find sightings in other countries such as Russia, Himalayas, that kind of stuff.
But-
extremely remote.
You mentioned the Yeti.
Yeah.
And whereas it's a similar thing, I would have to think they're completely different of different origins.
Ah, see, that's where
I think they could originate in different. It doesn't seem as likely that they would like originate here or there and then become as widespread as they are, especially being as secluded as they are.
Now, did you
Why even venture out if you're so secluded?
Now, did you know with the Yeti, it was about 10 years ago, they actually found some fur that they thought belonged to the Yeti in the Himalayas. They took it back for research, and it turned out that it was a prehistoric bear's fur.
Really?
Yeah, from like I don't remember, it started with a P, epoch, like
Maybe-
era.
Oh, the epoch, I don't know, but
Yeah,
I
but-
saw the same thing. It was like an Arctic brown bear or
Yeah,
something.
it was a bear that was prehistoric. They don't know, and there was this hair had been like within the last few years alive.
Okay. Yeah.
So they knew that it was a fresh one. They didn't just come across it and be like, oh, well, it resurfaced after 1,000, 10,000, 30,000 years.
I certainly don't think it's far-fetched that these prehistoric creatures, there's still a select number of them out there today.
Yeah.
I don't think... That doesn't seem far-fetched to me. Something like a polar bear, an ancient polar bear, that there's still a couple of around, seems way, way easier to overlook than Sasquatch running around on Mount St. Helens.
But if you're thinking Sasquatch is just an ape man, that's easy to overlook.
No, it's not.
But if he looks...
You can't. Like, okay. I kind of get it. The reason I think the monkey thing is because I hail from Florida.
Oh, okay.
Florida.
Yeah. Florida.
For those of you who don't know. I come from Florida, and there was stories that have been validated that there was at one point a zoo, and the monkeys escaped, and there are woods in Florida that are overrun with monkeys at this current point in time today. And so I'm thinking, like, a couple gorillas. Let's go, like, back into the 20s.
Okay.
When the Mount St. Helens sightings started happening. Some dude gets himself a pair of gorillas imported because that used to happen all the time. People got exotic pets and that sort of thing. And then those gorillas one day rip the dude's arms off and just run off into the woods. And now you have two silverback gorillas running around where they're not supposed to. So you're hiking around in the woods where you're normally seeing like deer, some moose, majestic elk. And then you see like a silverback gorilla just like hauling through the jungle. That doesn't even process in your brain. So you're thinking like Sasquatch.
Okay, but how about the fact that they're always walking on 2 feet, according to...
Gorillas walk on 2 feet. I've seen it on YouTube. It happens. I'm going to post a video to Facebook.
All right, but
Okay.
I'm telling you, I think their main mode of
Haven't you
transport
seen the
is all
video
four.
of the gorilla walking around and they've turned it into a
How
meme?
fast can he go? Like,
Well, they're
2
not
miles
going
an hour?
fast in the videos. They're not going fast whenever they do Sasquatch videos. The dude like walking through the jungle.
They
He's-
don't look like
so
they're
you're
going fast, but those are
saying-
some long legs.
There was an episode, I don't remember which one it was, but they were talking about how he never goes very fast. And they were like, well, it seems like he's not going fast, but when you take into account that he's almost 15 feet tall, he's going like, he's actually walking at like 45 miles an hour.
No, that's ridiculous.
No, but that stuck with me forever because I like his logic.
Okay, so I can back up that theory because one of the big cryptids, one of the big like unofficial creature monster things that is common in England is actually giant cats. And
Oh, I think I've heard of that before.
the Beast of Exmoor is like the big one.
Yeah.
Because a farmer went to the local authorities and was talking about, I've had 100 sheep killed in the past 3 months, and I don't know what's doing it, but I think it's a big cat.
That's a lot of sheep.
That is
Yeah.
a lot of dead sheep to have in 3 months. And this happened at a time in England where
sheep every
a
night.
very popular thing to do for wealthy people was to buy exotic pets. In particular,
Okay. Yeah.
large cats.
I remember this, yeah.
That makes sense. So that we have validated stories that this has happened in the past, and we also have validated stories that monkeys rip people's arms off.
When
Multiple.
has Sasquatch ever attacked anyone?
Sasquatch hasn't, but someone's keeping him in cap. Well, people say that he has, but I don't believe it.
I don't believe them.
Sasquatch is gentle, but
Yeah.
you have people holding gorillas in their house, like in captivity. Gorilla gets angry, pulls their arms off, and then leaves into
I
the
like how
woods.
you're centering
And then
around
why
that.
would they attack people if they could just run away? If you have to pull their arms off to run away, you pull their arms off. But if you don't have to, why would you?
So how are they not more territorial? Because
they have
silverback
so
gorillas
much
are
territory.
extremely territorial.
Maybe there's not enough of them. They don't have a whole
Okay.
group to
Well, the
be
silverback is
territorial
usually
with.
the leader of a group of gorillas.
Yeah.
The silverback is specifically like the patron.
Alpha male.
Yeah,
kinda.
the alpha male, or
Thank you for your infinite knowledge of gorillas.
I did live with them for a year, so
No, you did not. That is a lie. But you see what I'm saying.
I
though.
completely
the
understand
exotic
where you're
pet gone wild.
I like it.
I think that to me, as of this moment in time, is the most solid. That's the most solid theory because you can't really prove that wouldn't work. I think that would work.
How would a hunter not kill him though? That's my.
So yeah, I was
question.
gonna say that now you're kind of conflicting with yourself because you're saying, why don't we have conclusive evidence of Sasquatch if he's around?
Yeah.
But if we have all like a fair amount of
And a
escaped
hunter in
silverback
North
gorillas,
Okay.
why haven't we
Well,
found
let's-
these gorillas?
Let's talk about that.
Okay,
So,
okay.
you guys were saying there's multiple. There's like many.
50 to 100 and a tribe.
If there's 50 to 100, you're finding bones. No doubt.
Not if they reuse them. I've already
Not if
explained
only
that
one
off.
is dying every 900 years or so.
Okay,
That's true, too.
But like what I'm saying 2 gorillas started this.
Okay.
And then anytime anybody sees anything weird, their eyes do like the cartoon money sign thing, and then they start thinking it's Sasquatch. I think the occasional real incident has happened, starting with gorillas pulling people's arms off.
So that's your belief.
I do. I believe.
All right.
Okay.
I don't really have. I believe in Sasquatch.
Wait, you're just...
I believe in Sasquatch, but I think Sasquatch is a monkey.
Okay.
We have labeled whatever it is Sasquatch. We don't know what it is.
I believe in
a monkey.
Sasquatch, the humanoid primate.
With 4 toes.
4 toes
Explain
and a
that.
big toe.
How does that make sense? Yeah, a big toe. Right, the thumb's not a toe. The thumb toe is.
No, I believe in that in the sense of I believe that if it was a small enough community and lived long enough, it'd be capable of maintaining its reclusiveness. So, and the sightings, I believe it's 1 out of every 100 might be a real sighting. The other
Yeah.
people are attention seekers or
I would say maybe a little more than that. I think like maybe more like 1 out of 10 sightings is someone legitimately thinking that they saw it. Not legitimately they saw it, but I think if they
So-
think they saw it, that counts as legitimate.
So you're going with the Sasquatch as a gorilla or monkey got loose and people sighted it and it started the Sasquatch.
I think the story is probably not as interesting as people like to make it.
So how do you explain the fact that these sightings have gone back since the 1800s through Indian tribes prior to white
Yeah.
people and importing extremely rare animals?
Without discrediting like ancient Indian beliefs, because that's not what we're about here.
Yeah, true.
But many stories from back in that time. Many stories.
Very true.
So I'm saying like, and we're just talking Sasquatch here, but there's
Sasquatch.
many things that we could talk about that are similar to Sasquatch but aren't the same thing.
So can I read off to you?
Skinwalkers.
True.
Wendigo.
I'm not saying that they're like that.
And I'm saying,
they're not
like-
dated kind of situations.
I'm saying that like the Wendigo Skinwalker thing probably is more so related to those ancient texts and stories than the modern perception of Sasquatch. I think it has changed into something else.
So let me hit you with a fact.
Try.
Oh.
Dodging.
So, Elkanah Walker, who was a Protestant missionary at the time, who was going to Indian tribes to bring them to the, Catholic and, our religion, that kind of thing. 1840, documented the Indians' stories, but also had an encounter themselves with Bigfoot. And what it was is that they were giants who the Indians said lived in the mountains around Spokane, Washington. Hey.
Some more applause again.
Huzzah!
The Indian tribes around here knew of them, told stories of them, and not only that, but took this missionary to see one of them. And what they did is they did the same thing as the basket of fruits thing. They would come down and take salmon from their fisherman traps that were laid in the river. They'd come down, and when they took one, they'd leave berries and things as a thank you to that person.
Okay, so that story goes back.
1840.
I will say at the time I was quite young. At the time I heard these
1840s?
stories. At the time I wasn't even born. But when I heard the original stories from the people, person to person, when I lived up north about the stick people, I didn't give them much credit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people up there were not credible.
That's understandable.
As time has progressed and I've heard of multiple other stories that are similar, both past and present, I still don't give them much credit. But that's not to say that I don't believe something like that could be going on. But the fact that there were stories like that before, and now these people in the current time are telling me the exact same story again, It's all too common that someone hears a story they think is cool, so they try and apply it to their own life so that they seem cool.
So you're saying that
Everybody does it.
the tradition was kept by the fact that people would see something unexplainable like a silverback gorilla.
Yes.
And they would assume out of their knowledge of prior stories that it was that.
Let's say someone goes out. This is way long ago. They go out and they come back claiming to have seen this Sasquatch being. Okay. And people think this person is creditable. So then they write stories about it. They write songs about it, carvings, paintings about it. Now suddenly the word starts to spread and people start applying that to themselves. It's something that happens all the time. You hear something, you think that is cool, and you want that sort of thing to happen. So then from that point forward, as people start to see things that could be this, might be something else, but it could be a Sasquatch, they are inclined to go back and tell people it's Sasquatch because of the good response that's gotten in the past.
I completely agree with you. I still believe Sasquatch is a very real possibility, and that one out of 100 people actually physically see Sasquatch or Bigfoot. And I think they're a small tribe and everything. I understand what you're saying. You're saying that the majority of evidence, quotations around evidence, out there is the same thing we've all been saying. Attention seekers, or they're applying their own knowledge of what other people have said to their own experience.
So it kind of comes back to that mass hysteria that we were talking about before, where like you catch onto a bandwagon kind of thing. All right, so this is a story that I found on a Bigfoot site, but it actually is a real study that was done. This is about a woman in Russia that in the 1880s was slightly graphic. She was kept as a sex slave by this Russian town, but she was described as 6'6" with black skin, her entire body being covered in reddish brown hair. And she bore 4 children, of which the bones have actually been examined of the children. They couldn't find the grave of the mother, this Bigfoot woman, essentially. But they do actually have found the bones of the mother. And I didn't get far enough to actually see what they found out about those children. But this is a documented incident.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Well, I mean, I know I can't remember the disease right offhand, but there is that disease out there that causes you to grow a massive amount of hair. You don't have any control over it.
Seen it in the circus.
Yeah. And it grows around your eye sockets and makes you look extremely furry, kind of like a werewolf, I think is actually what a lot of people associate it with. But it wouldn't be too hard to see a 7' or 6'5" person and think super hairy, stays away from society because he's embarrassed by the fact that he has a massive amount of body of hair.
Yeah.
Well, people that tend to have that sort of condition, they generally tend to suffer from other conditions.
Oh, okay.
Dwarfism, this sort of thing. So the fact that maybe they grew a little bit tall
I didn't know
and
that.
were hairy.
What is the condition?
Gigantism.
Gigantism.
I don't know how to say it, but
Plus-
that's the word.
See, like gigantism, dwarfism, a lot of times they're accompanied with other potentially problematic things, or maybe potentially being extra hairy in this case.
All right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's a fun one, especially being here in the Northwest. I think
It's big here.
We are the epicenter.
Yeah, well, and that's why I was about to say is that I think the statistic is 1/3 of all Bigfoot sightings is in the Northwest.
Something like that, yeah.
So, like, we're in the country. I mean, we have a community college that's their mascot is Bigfoot. So,
SCC.
We just had that Sasquatch convention at the convention center here where they got together. I forget. It was a ton of people.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be the biggest one in the tri-state area
there's more
that
people
we've ever
who
seen.
believe about Bigfoot than flat Earth.
I would believe that, actually. Although Flat Earth is coming, it's coming up
around.
hot.
It's coming
Yeah,
around.
it's coming
I
back.
can't wait. I think we're going to do a multi-part
Oh yeah,
series
we're gonna have to.
on the Flat Earth.
Well, we're gonna.
I think we need to get like 3 different guests, and we need to do one episode with each of them
Yes.
about the Flat Earth.
Yep.
And I think I've countless hours of flat Earth documentaries and mockumentaries.
Yeah.
All sorts. I've watched both sides because it is one of the most interesting debates.
It is.
I really think that it is. We're not going to talk about that right now.
We'll definitely
Because
talk
I'm
about it
about-
in the post-podcast.
I'm about to go
so
off.
if you guys
so
want
we're
to
gonna
hear a
have to
little
wait.
bit about it, post-podcast
That's true.
podcast.
We're going to talk about it in the post-podcast podcast that you can find on our Patreon. So if you just can't get enough of this,
This is going to be a debate between me and Simon.
we're
because-
there. We're there. I had a fact here. Not a fact. I have a story that
okay.
somebody told that I read.
I like
Okay.
it.
It's from Thomas Powell's book, The Locals. He says in 1999, as fires were destroying Nevada, the state,
Okay.
Nevada, people saw a Bigfoot creature being burned or being trapped amidst the flames, and they called for help. And in calling for help, they ended up with government officials that came down and took this creature offsite.
Really?
This is in Thomas Powell's book, The Locals.
Interesting.
Okay.
Excerpt from the book.
There's a lot of see. I would have. I always thought Sasquatch was just that unknown creature in the woods, but there seems to be a lot of connection with our government coming in and swooping out the bodies.
I think that any time the government comes into play involving
You gotta question
Sasquatch,
what's going on?
well, I think anytime Sasquatch is mentioned and then the government is mentioned, I think it's like people like me who are paranoid about the government.
Oh, true.
And they're like, I saw Sasquatch and then I saw a dude in a suit. So
Yeah, but who
the
would
government took him.
well, it's got to be the guy. Who would take them if they're in a
I don't
nice
think
fancy
anybody
suit?
would. I think something like that. I don't think there's no reason. What a waste of government resources. Not
Yeah.
that we
And we
preserve
can't.
our resources.
Let's
That's
face,
trying to control the
let's face the
population.
100% truth.
But why would we control the population?
But
It
let's-
just doesn't add up.
Let's face the honest to God truth. The government is not that fast in response time.
No, I was gonna say
That's
like
true.
I love this theory, but the biggest problem is assuming that the government is that competent because
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, I mean, you call the fire department and they're not even there that
And
quick.
suddenly, what? The Secret Service shows up and goes, "We're just."
That's
gonna
what
take
I'm
this
saying.
body."
So, like, there's a fire going on, and like they've tapped the fire department's phone lines or something, and someone was like, "Oh my God, there's a big gorilla!" And they were like, "That's it, go,
yeah,
send in your men." And they like bring down a SWAT team that goes and like kicks Sasquatch to the ground and drags him off. That just doesn't make sense. I don't believe.
agree.
I don't think the government's involved at all.
I don't
And
think
I
so.
like to think the government's involved in everything.
I'm with you.
But I really think that this is of the smallest of the government's issues at the moment. I really do.
I mean, if they've got aliens at Area 51 or 52, if you don't know about 52, I mean, why do they care about Sasquatch at this point
That's
in
what
time?
I think it's. Well, people think Sasquatch is an alien. We mentioned
yeah.
that. Kind of discredited, but
yeah,
it's like
kind of.
I said, it's
discredited.
just not. It's not relevant to the government,
It
especially with as far and few as the sightings actually are, and with people. Like, let's say that they are real. We're assuming they're real at this point. Sasquatch is real, and there's a couple real sightings that are validated. There's enough fake ones out there that the government never has to worry about everybody believing it and
Exactly.
going out and finding it, because every couple of years a dude claims to have Sasquatch in his freezer,
Yeah.
and every time it's fake.
Yep.
So that kind of ruins it for everybody. And then you have these shows come out that some of the shows are more serious than others, but you have these shows that turn it into like a reality TV thing.
Yeah.
And people, average Americans, sit there on their couch watching it, and that's as close as they're ever going to get to thinking twice about Sasquatch. The average person never leaves their house.
True. They
I don't
basically
think-
go to work and go home.
At this point in time, the government doesn't have to go out into no man's land to like capture Sasquatch, because no one's going out there. And the people that do go out there and get a photo of it, they can just discredit it with all the fake sightings. It's too easy to do.
Yeah.
agree.
It happens all, and like you said, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100 is real. Those are hard odds
That's hard
to lean
beat.
with.
Yeah.
It is.
And for especially for the mass populace, most people are going to trust official
99
people.
people as
Yeah.
opposed to one
Well,
person.
Just officials saying,
Yeah.
That's fair.
This is fake. This is fake. This is fake. skip. This is fake.
People follow their leadership and officials.
True.
That is very true.
If they say 99 is fake and they just skip one of them and not say whether it's fake or real.
Well, because that's the easy part, because we do have like footprints and stuff that have not been disproven. We have footprints that they don't know where it came from. They haven't proven that they're fake, but that's not enough.
See, and that's what always hangs people up, is it's easy to disprove something. It's hard to prove it when you don't have like the body sitting in front of you where you can be like, DNA has shown that this thing here is this thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's tough.
No, that's
so
true.
it's always like you said, it's the mentality behind it. This is not yet disproven. That's like the starting point. We haven't disproven this yet. Not that, hey, this is proof, or hey, this is plausible evidence. It's we haven't disproven this piece of evidence because we can't. And then it's left at that, kind of like in a limbo state of, well, it's not really evidence, but it's not also fake.
That's true.
And I mean, that's kind of the idea with like the scientific term of a theory is like, we're not saying that this is definitely right, but this is our best guess as to what is right, is kind of what a theory is.
Yeah.
Although we do live in a time where theories are generally accepted to be the one true truth.
Except carbon dating.
We live in a time where people have confused theories with facts.
That's true.
And we could get into that right now, but we'll save that for the flat earth thing
There you
too,
go. I
because
like
there's a
that.
lot to go into there. But yeah, I don't know. We didn't even really set out to prove anything this time. We never
No,
do.
it's just-
It's been a while since I just sat down and talked about Sasquatch.
Sasquatch, and it's fun to see what your guys' point is on, and I like to express my
Definitely.
opinion on it because it's something I've never really talked to a lot of people about.
I
so-
know, it's almost like it's so common. It's such like a commonplace thing. Everybody's seen In Search of Sasquatch and like
Yeah.
heard the stories, and everyone's got a relative or a friend that has seen Sasquatch.
Yep.
So when we talk about conspiracy theories and sometimes the more out there ones, we're not talking about one of the biggest ones is actually right here, right now, Sasquatch.
Yeah, like you were saying, not every one of our conspiracy theories touches everybody. Bigfoot is one of those ones everybody's got a family member or somebody
Yeah.
they know who believes. And that's fun.
That's true.
That's fun.
I would be interested in the numbers. I don't trust any survey online
I
that'll
don't.
tell you like how many people in the United States believe in Sasquatch or whatever, because they always take a small number of people and then they expand that to the entire populace.
Yeah, they'll be like, out of
Whereas-
100 people, 73 of them say, yeah, but you
Right.
did it in the Northwest where most people
Exactly.
believe
If
in
you
it."
ask 100 people in the middle of Tornado Alley, none of them have seen Sasquatch amidst the corn.
Exactly.
And if you do it in the Pacific Northwest, then it's like everybody has seen Sasquatch.
I think that's called stacking your
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, it is. And that's true. That's the constant battle.
You go to Area 51, you go to a town nearby, and you ask them how many believe in aliens. You're going to get almost 100 out of 100, and you can be
Yeah.
like 98% of America.
But we did the Roswell one, remember?
Oh,
and
yeah.
a bunch of people who live in Roswell
Don't
didn't
even
even know that that's
even know.
why they have alien festivals every year.
What?
Yes, there are people who live in Roswell, and they have
Amazing.
music festivals every year celebrating the Roswell incident, and they didn't even know why they did it. They didn't even know the
They didn't
incident.
even know what the Roswell incident
Or
was.
that one lady was like, it's great and all, but I'm just not about that. And it's like, well, then move out of Roswell because I'm moving to Roswell. Dang it.
Oh,
Undeserving and ungrateful. Not that I'd want to live in Roswell.
This was a fun episode.
It was a fun episode.
I like it. If any of you really believe in Sasquatch or Bigfoot or whatever name you'd like to call him, please let us know in the comments.
I would like to know your experience.
Yeah,
If
you
you
have a
tell
sighting.
us your experience with Sasquatch, we'll read it to people.
Yeah, we'll read it
here on the
straight up.
podcast.
Yep.
Next episode, before we even get into the next topic,
It'll be the first thing
we'll
we talk
just
about.
Sasquatch story from blah blah blah,
Yep.
just like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be fun as heck.
That would be fun. I know. I'm waiting for all the hate comments to start rolling in because I want to make whole in between
God.
episodes
That
about
just
reading
like-
hate comments.
I want to read it about hate comments where we respond to hate comments.
That'd be good, too.
It's gonna be fun.
The future is bright.
It is. We have so many places.
The
to go.
horizon.
So
I guess we'll wrap it up.
yeah,
Thanks everybody for stopping by. This is NC Squared Conspiracy Podcast. You can Google us, NC2 Conspiracy Podcast. You'll find us all over. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on, if you want to listen to our podcast, we're on iTunes, of course, because you got to be on iTunes if you want to hit it big. And we're on CastBox for mobile users. Podbean is our host, which patrons pay for. Thank you again to the patrons.
Are we on CloudStream yet?
I don't know what that is. No, we're not. SoundCloud? We're not on there. We're not on there. We're not on SoundCloud.
Oh, I sent that guy to the wrong place.
Oh boy, we're not on SoundCloud. If you're out there and
Thanks a
listening
lot,
somehow,
Tim.
he found us anyhow.
Frat Daddy.
Oh.
If you hear me, you're in the wrong spot.
iTunes. Okay, but if he's a frat guy, we're on Spotify. And everybody uses Spotify.
That's fair.
And
Yeah.
we're also on Google Podcasts. Really, anywhere you can think of other than SoundCloud. Well, it costs money. We
That's
pay
true.
money to host, and I need to upload separately to SoundCloud.
Yep.
I'm not going to
And it
upload
costs money, and they
separately.
restrict your hours based on how much you pay.
Exactly. That's Podbean. If you want to endorse us,
We love you.
we pay you.
We pay you,
So-
but we also love the fact that
Just
you
give us
don't
a free
say, "Hey, you
subscription,
can
and we'll
only
just talk about how great you are for like 5 minutes an episode or something
Yeah.
like that.
And they don't say, "Hey, you can only do 5 hours."
They don't-
worth
I think
at
we have
this-
unlimited.
Yeah, we do.
I believe, at a very affordable rate, paid for by our patrons. Patrons also paid for the beer. They paid for the pizza.
Yes.
And when equipment stops working, they pay for that. And they listen to our post-podcast podcast on Patreon. So if you're interested in that, head over to Patreon, give us your money, and there's a little bit more content over there for you.
Please not say
I like making it seem so like,
official.
but really, if you...
Sounds
Every
like the
bit
mom.
helps. Even if you go over there and you're only giving us $1 a month for 1 month, that's $1. You unlock every
Everything.
podcast we've done so far, as well as the occasional behind the scenes pick, etc., and potentially free stuff one day. Don't hold me to that, but that's the plan.
It is the plan. It's formulated, and now the execution of that plan is underway.
All right. Yeah, that's true.
I've gotten free stuff, so I mean.
That's
yeah,
true.
I got stickers.
We've been printing stickers out because stickers are the future.
Are they?
They are. Stickers are the future, and
do
they
love
are
stickers.
base level marketing, and we're getting into it. We're going to talk about this in the post podcast podcast.
yeah.
So we'll see you there. My name is Simon.
My name is Chance.
Thank you,
I was
Tim, for
Tim.
being here.
Thank you,
You're
Tim.
welcome.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. I love that.